when I played, one of the things I had to learn is how to get the best out of my teammates.
Yeah.
And most people think it's a simple thing, passing the ball. But that's not how you make guys better. You have to really affect their behavior.
How do you do that?
So, I would tell guys, we got back-to-backs. I don't care if we're in Miami. I don't care if we're in a great city of Chicago. You can't go out. We got to get rest. Right?
Back-to-back games.
Back-to-back games,
Yeah.
right? Monday, Tuesday. You play Monday and play again Tuesday. Guys aren't going to listen, right?
You're right.
So a few times, say, all right, we'll all go out. We'll go out together.
Really?
I'll drink with you, right? But the next morning, I'm banging on your door at 5 a.m. Let's go.
They're not getting.
Where are we going? I'll hang out with you. Now you come hang out with me.
Wow.
This is what we do. All right, let's go. And we're at the gym. We're working out, right? We hit the bus. We go to practice. We play that night.
And they're dead.
And they're dead. And they're like, oh, lesson learned.
Really?
Lesson learned.
Take them out once.
Listen, if you're going to do that. But don't let that compromise what we're here to do.
Right.
This is why we're here. This is why you're here in the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
And if we're going to win a championship, we have to have that championship mentality.
That's it.
Work ethic.
That's it. So you got to show them, no, Kobe can do that and still has the energy to get up and do this. So either I got to meet that same energy or I got to keep my butt.
Go to bed early, yeah.
It's probably the most important thing. When you're in this culture in our society, you can do some phenomenal things individually, but they'll never reach their full potential unless you do them collectively. And you have to figure out how to do that. And, Phil Jackson was great at that.
Mm-hmm.
Phil, he wouldn't just coach the team or coach the game, but he'd read everything about every single player.
Really?
He'd learn about your history, how you grew up, how you were raised, where were you raised. He'll read every interview and he'll learn about you and gives him a better understanding of what's motivating you, what your insecurities are, right? And then it just helps him communicate with you better, or even push a button here if he needs to. I learned it from Phil. There was a stretch in 2003 where Shaq was out with an injury. And Phil called me up to his office and said, okay, we need you to really turn on the afterburners and start scoring the ball if we have to win. So I did, and I wound up scoring, I think it was 9 straight games for 40+ points.
9 straight.
9 straight games. And then Shaq comes back, second to last game of that. And then Phil calls me up to his office and says, Kobe, okay, I need you to dial it back. I'm like, why? Like, we're winning. I don't understand. It's because our goal is to win a championship. And we can get through the Western Conference with you playing this way. But in the East, we can dominate them inside with Shaq in the post. But if you continue to do this, we'll lose Shaq. We'll lose him.
His motivation, his excitement.
What triggers him, right? So I need you to pull back so we can pull Shaq forward for June. And I just looked at him like, this is a smart dude.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really smart.
Yeah, it's one smart dude, man. So I pulled it back.
Wow.
Yeah. The greatest challenge, when you play the game, you hit a game-winning shot, you miss a shot, the reaction's there. You can see how people are responding to it, right? You can feel it.
The energy is
The energy is there. What I do now, you don't. Like, I don't see how people are affected by their basketball. That's not there, right? So that's the challenge. That's the one thing that I miss is being able to
feedback.
feed off of the energy. Yeah.
The instant feedback that you get from missing or scoring a shot, winning or losing a game. It's like either way, you're getting a result, right?
Yes. That's the one thing. And when I went to, because I spent a lot of time with mentors as well, up at Pixar and Disney Studios. They've been absolutely wonderful Disney animation. And I talked to them about Frozen and Moana and how our kids love them. And they're always like, oh, that's awesome. And they want to hear it because they don't ever get a chance to truly see it. Like, they're not
sitting in the movie theater like.
No. And they don't have time to go to Disneyland and walk around the park and see how many families are enjoying the content that they've created because they're busy making the next.
Creating.
Yes. So that's the one thing. There's a quote from one of my English teachers at Lower Merion named Mr. Fisk. He had a great quote that said, rest at the end, not in the middle. And that's something I always live by. I'm not going to rest. I'm going to keep on pushing now. There are a lot of answers that I don't have, even questions that I don't have. But I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going, and I'll figure these things out as we go, right? And you just continue to build that way. So I try to live by that all the time. The question that eats me alive that I haven't answered yet, I'm still looking for the answer. how to tell a good story. I think stories is what moves the world. Whether it's an inspirational story, it's an informational one. Nothing in this world moves without story, be it from the political world, sports world. Nothing that we have moves without story. And so I think that is the root of everything. And if we're going to try to make the world a better place, story is the right place to start.
What does losing feel like to you?
It's exciting because it means you have different ways to get better. There's certain things that you can figure out that you can take advantage of, right? Certain weaknesses that were exposed that you need to shore up, right? So it was exciting. I mean, it sucks to lose,
right?
But at the same time, there are answers there if you just look at them, right? So it's a constant process. It's exciting when you win. It's exciting when you lose because the process should be exactly the same, whether you win or you lose. As you go back and you look and you find things that you could have done better. You find things that you've done well that worked. You figure out how did they work, why did they work, and how can you make them work again?
Yeah.
And but the hardest thing is to face that stuff. That's a really, really tough challenge. I'll give you an example. So Katie Lou Samuelson is one of the best college basketball players in the country. She plays at UConn. She's going to be a senior.
Right now.
Yeah. And she's from Huntington Beach out here by us. And so she comes down and she works with some of my girls on the team and she helps coach. And they just had a really tough season last year where they lost to Notre Dame in the final.
That's right.
Really tough.
First loss in years, right?
Yeah. And so I said, have you watched the Notre Dame game? She was like, no. So, well, why not? I said, I don't want to watch that. I said, I know you don't, but you're going to play Notre Dame this year, yeah? Yeah. What's the chances you see him again in the final? I said, well, probably see him again. I said, well, you can't show up and play them without knowing why you lost that one, right? So, the mistakes that you've made in that game, you have to do the hard stuff and watch that game and study that game to not make those mistakes over and over again just because you weren't brave enough to face it. So she came down to the office. I brought her down to the office and we sat down, we watched that game together.
Wow.
Right? You gotta deal with
Face it.
Gotta deal with it. Face it, learn from it. You look at it and say, oh, there's the mismatch. Oh, there's the gap. And all those little things, and it sucks. But you don't want to have that feeling again, do you? Right? So you gotta really study it and face it. And not to say you'll win the next time you face it, but at least you'll give yourself a better chance.
Yeah.
I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. Yeah, I think that's what greatness is or should be. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever.
Yeah.
And I think that's our challenge as people is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.